What's up, gamers and collectors? DGC back with another video, and today we're taking a look at the original Xbox exclusives M Edition. 16 games in total. Let's jump in and check them out. Alright, first up we have a launch title for the original Xbox. This is Mad Dash Racing.
Hey! Is this thing on? Testing what else? Hey! Stop there!
Mad Dash Racing. This is a very cheap game that you can find pretty much anywhere, but you've probably overlooked it many times. You shouldn't. Great little racing game here, great couch co-op game, super fun to play. You'll have a blast with this game. Cannot recommend this one enough. Next up, we have quite a good little shooter here. I was kind of pleasantly surprised when I was recording the gameplay for this. Men of Valor. Very cool little Vietnam-based shooter. The tutorial section, I will say, takes some time to get through, but once you're finally through that and you're actually playing the levels, it's pretty good. One thing that is kind of goofy about this game, in my opinion, is the aiming. However, this was kind of like right into the verge of where first-person shooters were becoming kind of the mainstay of gaming like they are now. And it hasn't aged the best as far as the shooting goes, and you can see that in the gameplay. But I still recommend this one. And again, you can probably find this still very cheap, and you're probably going to see it pretty often. But again, you've probably overlooked this one many a times. But as far as an original Xbox game, exclusive, I think this is worth a pick up and play. It really is. And you can probably get it for like $5. Now, this is a point-and-click adventure game that is predominantly known to be a PC game. However, Myst 4, console-wise, was exclusive to the original Xbox. Let's check out some gameplay.
People talk about my sons and the evil things they did. Yet still I remain strangely mute. I do not discuss my own actions that day, or the rage I felt when I burned the 2 linking books that had snared them.
This part's really, really cool if you're not afraid of tight spaces. Dad and me aren't, but sometimes Mom has to close her eyes when I'm driving. I think she's not home right now, because I never could have picked you up by myself if she were.
Now turn the leftmost dial to adjust the signal's amplitude or volume. Try adjusting the amplitude.
So, Myst 4 was exclusive to the original Xbox console-wise. However, Myst 3 can also be had on the original Xbox, but was also on the PlayStation 2. However, Myst 4 was only on the Xbox console-wise. Myst 4 was not on the PlayStation 2. So, console-wise, you can play this on both. This on Xbox, and Myst 4 not on PS2. But, and then 1 and 2 are on, like, the older consoles. But yeah, as far as original Xbox exclusive, Myst 4, OG Xbox exclusive. Next up we have Murakumo Renegade Mech Pursuit. This is trapped on the original Xbox. Let's check out some gameplay. Alright, so this is an original Xbox mech game. Original Xbox had a lot of mech games on it. It's actually kind of known for that. This is a really good game. However, it takes a really good bit of time to get over the controls for the game. They're kind of, I don't want to say janky because they're not, but they're very unique to this game. The mechanics of the game are very specific because it's not a straight up mech game. It's more of like a flight simulator mech game. It is a cool game. Not super expensive. Definitely one of the more sought after games for the Xbox, but still relatively cheap. So definitely would recommend picking this one up. Next up, we have one that I had really kind of hoped this was going to be a badass title. The cover of this game looks cool. Back in the day, Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2, Episode 1 and 2 were big staples of my childhood, and when you look at this cover, it really reminded me of that, and then kind of flipped it over and I was like, alright, this looks like this could be a great little RPG. And Xbox was surely lacking of those back in the day and really never had any at all that I can think of other than the KOTOR games, but that being Metal Dungeon. So from the front of that cover, you really would think that this would be some kind of great little RPG game. It's actually probably one of the worst games I've ever played on the original Xbox. By far, maybe even one of the worst games I've ever played. RPG-wise, or just in game in general, this game is absolutely terrible. And what sucks is, it has a really intriguing story. It starts out and it just seems like this would be a cool-ass story, and I kind of just want to play it just to experience the story. But I gotta say, I do not recommend picking up Metal Dungeon for the original Xbox.
Science, technology, and magic coincide in the world of Atlantis. For many years, countries have been at war with each other over world domination. The most powerful weapon from the arsenals of the various forces in this desperate war was the weapon monsters, biomechanical organisms that had been transformed into killing machines.
Alright, next up we have a trio of games. That being MotoGP 1, MotoGP 2, and MotoGP 3. These are exclusive to the original Xbox. As you can see, the original one does say it. 2 and 3 don't. So, these are made by THQ. They're pretty decent games. Each one steps it up a notch and gets a little bit better. More features, better graphics, better sound design, that kind of stuff. Namco also makes MotoGP games. Namco now owns the license to the MotoGP games. THQ obviously didn't exist for a while. Then they came back as THQ Nordic now, but they don't own MotoGP licensing anymore. This series actually continued on as an exclusive onto the 360 as well for a few years, and then Namco ended up acquiring the license to make the MotoGP games. So these three existed at the same time as Namco MotoGP games. However, these three are exclusive to the original Xbox. I'm going to check out a little bit of gameplay from all three. You'll kind of get a broad idea of what you're going to play here. One thing I can truly say about these games is you really do get a true sense of speed. A little bit so in the first two, but then in the third game, you really get a good true sense of speed in this game, and it really is very kind of fun to just like hunker down on the bike and just like zoom across doing 200 miles an hour on like a Hayabusa or something. So I could recommend at least picking up number 3 if you do run into it in the wild, just in case you do want to play some kind of motorcycle game and enjoy them. But otherwise, not really. Doesn't need to be added to your Xbox collection. Now, this next game, awesome little game, a little bit of a gem, I would say, here on the Xbox. Not a lot of people talk about. Truly a fun game. That being Monster 4x4 World Circuit for the original Xbox. This isn't exclusive to the Xbox, from Ubisoft of all people. This is kind of like a Monster Truck game meets Mario Kart. There's little power-ups, there's different little secret paths you can take, all sorts of stuff. Let's cut away to some gameplay. So that's Monster 4x4 World Circuit. Fantastic little game here. You might have a little bit of trouble finding this one because it's a little bit more uncommon. However, really great game here. Cannot recommend this one enough. Alright, next up here. During its generation, this wasn't exclusive to the original Xbox. See, it even says so on the top. That being Metal Slug 3. Obviously, we know this is an SNK game. It's exclusive to the Neo Geo during its generation, which was technically I guess that would be the 4th generation of consoles versus the Genesis and the SNES and whatnot. But during the original Xbox generation, the only way you could play this was on the original Xbox. With that being said, Metal Slug 4 and 5 can also be played on this nice double disc package, but this is exclusive to the original Xbox. 4 and 5 can also be had on the PlayStation 2, and as well during the next generation you could get a whole little anthology pack for the PlayStation 2 and the Wii, which is obviously ultimately the better ways to get it. However, with a nice arcade stick for the original Xbox, these games are fantastic and you're still going to get quite a few of them. This is not that uncommon. However, this is quite uncommon, not exclusive though, PlayStation 2 as well, but quite uncommon. Metal Slug 3, you're gonna pay for this because of the name, but I would say it is still worth it. It is a really solid game. Probably because I've played this one the most because this isn't exclusive to the Xbox. I would say Metal Slug 3 is probably my personal favorite. I really like 4 and 5 as well, but 3 is probably my personal favorite. Fantastic little game. Obviously, you know what Metal Slug is at this point, but definitely recommend this one if you can find it for a fair price. Alright, next up we got a game that I wanted to get into, and as a car guy, a die-hard car guy, I really wanted to get into this. And I actually kind of enjoyed this show back in the day on the Discovery Channel, that being Monster Garage with Jesse James. So, the game is literally just the show, but gamified. So, let's cut away to some gameplay real quick.
Heat things up by installing a gas-guzzling flamethrower. Perfect for a monster-sized cookout. The rules. When built, the machine must appear to be stocked. The team can spend no more than $5,000 in hard cash for parts. Jesse and his crew have 7 days and nights. On the first day, they design. For the next 5, they build. And on the 7th day, they race. And the clock starts now.
So it's a cool game, it's a cool concept. It just doesn't work in game form because at least for me, because it just takes so long to go through the little checklist and build the parts and order the supplies and this and that. If they had somehow sped up the process of doing some of this stuff or made the checklist smaller, it would have made it more fun. I guess the opposing argument could be made that it's not that fun if you make it super short, to where, you know, it's just a breeze to build through the cars and the projects and then get to the fun part of the game, which is obviously playing around with the cool creation that you made. You're going to find this game pretty much everywhere. You've probably overlooked it many times. Pick it up if it piques your interest. Can't say it's great or bad, just kind of neutral on this one. But Monster Garage, original Xbox exclusive. Next up, we have a great game here. This is Maximum Chase for the original Xbox. Cool little game here. So the controls are not the greatest, but the concept's kind of cool. So it's, I don't even honestly know how to describe it, so let's just jump into some gameplay.
Whew. Dang.
Hey, this ain't no
Just
taxi.
drive, hurry!
Oh, look, if you're a hitch and
Go,
find another ride, 'cause
please.
you won't like where I'm going. Damn, I just washed my car.
So you're there's some shooting elements, then there's some racing elements. The graphics are definitely not great, but the gameplay is where it's at. It's pretty fun. It's got a nice little soundtrack to it, and it's just a fun little game. I definitely recommend it. It's a fun little game. You could find this pretty cheap, and definitely pick this one up for sure. All right, next up here, this is Magic the Gathering Battlegrounds for the original Xbox. So this is sort of a unique title. So it's kind of like a fighting game, and then obviously it's based in the Magic the Gathering universe. So it's like a split board, and then you can kind of go to both sides. Then you can summon your creatures, and that's how you fight each other. And then there's like power-ups that come up. Let's just cut to some gameplay, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
I remember the feeling, the knowledge even, that I was destined for greatness. But most of all, I remember Thea, my mentor and confidant. I had never seen her so troubled.
Your training is at an end. It is time you met your destiny.
Carnophage.
To find out.
Carnophage. Carnophage.
Elvish warrior. Running wild.
Raging Goblin.
So it's an interesting game. Again, you're probably not going to have a difficult time finding this one. It's probably going to be very cheap. It's an interesting game. It's if you're looking for something just kind of fun to play couch co-op with and just kind of battle your friend with, like on one day on the weekend for like $5, I recommend picking this up. You're going to have some fun with it. It's an interesting game. And if you're into Magic the Gathering, you'll probably enjoy it even more. All right, here we are with Midtown Madness 3 for the original Xbox. So I remember playing this a lot with my one cousin as a kid. He absolutely loved this game. This was one of the first games he got for his original Xbox. And it's a cool-ass little racing game. It's got a lot of cars packed into it. It's got a good little music soundtrack and whatnot. Good environments to race around in and stuff. Let's jump to some gameplay. So the graphics haven't aged the best in this game, but it is a really fun game. And again, you're probably going to find this everywhere, and it's super cheap, super worth picking up, definitely worth owning in your original Xbox collection. Alright guys, so we've gotten down to the last two games in the original Xbox M Edition exclusives. So, this was a franchise that was a staple on the original Xbox. And then Microsoft just kind of quietly swept it under the rug. They were like, you know what? We don't need you anymore. We're good. I think that's a mistake. I still think Microsoft could still bring this series back and actually get a good fan base. And it actually, now that online is like a big thing and part of gaming, it really could actually be kind of a big thing for Microsoft. And it would be great on Game Pass. That being MechAssault 1 and 2. So these are some of the greatest games on the original Xbox. Both of these are going to be insanely cheap to find. You probably already have these in your collection, and if you don't, what are you waiting on? These are truly amazing. Let's go ahead and jump into some gameplay of MechAssault 1.
So our little team gets to make a covert landing outside the range of the existing guns, sneak across half a continent, and take them out before our dropships show up. Just you, me, Briefing Boy here, a handful of pilots, and some of your favorite toys. You up for this?
It's official. Sir, be sure to secure any salvage you find. I've got readings that look like a supply convoy of some kind. You should check it out. sir. From here, it looks like an infantry headquarters and support facility. But I'm getting some weird readings. I can't pin it.
Who are these crazy bastards? Wipe them out, level their HQ building, and watch for any salvage. Careful, sport. This won't be like fighting tanks and infantry.
So I have a lot of fun memories playing this game. I absolutely love playing it. It's just every time I don't play the original Xbox for a while, there's like 5 games that I immediately think of and want to pick up and play, and this is one of them every time. This is just straight and easy game. This is probably one of the first games that you should get in your original Xbox collection, just because you're going to find this for like $2.99 to $5.99 at any game store, and it's just a fantastic game. Great action scenes, and just the levels and the story kind of evolves as you're playing it, and it just truly is a magnificent game on the original Xbox. And then it immediately, as soon as you get into MechAssault 2, the story picks up right where it left off, and then they take it up a whole nother notch. Now these are actually, you know what, these are both my original copies from when I was a kid. This came out of the original Xbox little kit that you could get, and then I bought this brand new at Best Buy. So this is the limited edition, and it does in fact come with a DVD, which I did actually recently watch the entire thing and enjoyed watching it. There's a lot of cool content on there, and then there's actually even a couple maps you can download off the DVD to have extra maps on the game, which is a really cool feature. Free DLC. What an era we lived in back in the day. But when you watch the DVD, you can really see that the developer was passionate about these games, and you could really see that from the evolution of MechAssault 1 into MechAssault 2, which really evolved from MechWarrior, they really put their heart and soul into the game. And they really wanted to step it up a notch. They were like, you know what, we were good, solid 8 out of 10, let's get it to a 10 out of 10 with MechAssault 2. And it really just was that much of an upcharge to graphics, sound effects, the mobility of the little mech suit that you could get, the VTOLs that you could have, the tanks you could have, getting in and out of the different vehicles while you're playing the game itself, which you couldn't do in the first one. Just everything about it, it just amped it up. The campaign was long as shit, super good. The story was really good. Just everything about MechAssault 2. Let's check out some gameplay.
Hey, I know you guys think we're hiding out and no one will find us, but this isn't R&R. We need to test the battle armor that Lieutenant Foster's been working on.
Dante's a pretty nice place, even if it is an R&R. You sure we don't have time for another drink? Major, a mech!
Hostiles bearing 359 degrees. Engaging!
MechWarrior, use that pulse laser and show them we don't appreciate uninvited guests.
Sirs, we got more trouble. Dante militia forces are counter-assaulting. We're in one heck of a crossfire here. Interesting statues. Their planet's been blown to scrap, but at least they had some style.
don't get any copyright strikes, this features songs from Korn, Papa Roach, stuff that was really big back in my childhood. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. I think even one of the songs was specifically made for this game, which is the final boss fight theme song that goes on. And the final boss in this game absolutely wrecked me. It is probably one of the harder bosses you'll ever fight in gaming, at least in like modern gaming, like OG Xbox up to now. This was such an incredibly intense boss fight, and you're just like on the edge of the couch just doing this boss fight. It's fantastic. I cannot recommend these two enough. These are definitely games that need to be in your OG Xbox collection. I appreciate you guys sticking around watching the OG Xbox exclusive M Edition. Up next, we are going to do NOP, and hopefully we'll get that out here shortly. Stay tuned for that. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Peace out for now, guys. Till next time.
That's it. I'm out of here. He don't pay me enough.
Hey, you mother...